Hey everyone, this is Kevin from Kevin's Microfleet. I'm coming to you with another Micro Galaxy Squadron review. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the last Series 3 items that I've been trying to get my hands on. We're going to be taking a look at the Dameron T70x Wing, the Chase. We're going to go ahead and take this thing out of the box. We're going to take a look at the vehicle itself, at the figure, at the accessories. We'll do a comparison, and then we'll do some measurements. Let's go ahead and dive into the review. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here with the packaging. So as we can see here, you've got on the front here, you've got the Chase, one of 5,000. Down here on the bottom, you've got Dameron's T70x Wing, number 65. We get Poe in here, you get a picture of him going down into the cockpit. As we turn this thing around to the side, nothing on this side. As we get around to the back here, you can see some of the different features here. You've got BB-8 that goes in there, you've got the wings that open. You get your little cutout here, a picture of the X-Wing, and then the other ones that come in the line. On this side, nothing on the side of the box. And on the underside, if you wanted to get the UPC, there is the UPC for you if you want that. Now, when you actually take this thing out of the box, there is, we'll go ahead and look at the card itself. So here is the back of the card. So you get there, you get the First Order TIE Fighters, which look really nice. You do actually get two different white T70X Wings there that are flying around. And then as you go ahead and take the blister pack out here, on the inside, this cardboard piece, or this little piece down here on the bottom, shows another portion of a scene. So there is the T70X Wing blasting that TIE Fighter. Which would be cool because we actually do get a battle damaged TIE Fighter, that First Order TIE Fighter that will be coming here in another wave. So you also get Poe that comes inside of this little blister pack. The one thing that is interesting about this is on the back of this blister pack, it typically will show the different figures. This one actually has the Poe with his flight suit on, which he obviously doesn't in this specific version. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the figures first. So here is your BB-8. So relatively small. They got the little silver part there on the dome. And then on the underside here, for whatever reason, they ended up doing this. I'm not 100% sure why. But, well, I get the reason why this part has a little ridge to it. This is so that the BB-8 can stand up and not roll over. There's a little tiny notch cut in the back, which you can see there. And I believe that's supposed to be part of how it's supposed to connect into the actual X-Wing. There is an issue that they ran into with it where this doesn't sit all the way down inside. And I'll show you a modification that I did with another one here, just as we do the comparison, to be able to see how you could get this thing to fit down inside of the actual X-Wing all the way. But on the interior of it here, the astromech port, it's really designed more for an R2 unit than it is for the BB-8, which is the round one. So when you try to activate it to push them out, it doesn't actually work. So that is that. And then here is our Dameron figure. I will say that I like the overall sculpt on this in terms of being able to have a jacket. You get the pants on there, which look pretty cool as we turn them around. You know, they do such a great job here with all of the little tiny details. You get the creases there in his jacket and his pants and his boots. The one thing I will say is the paint application on his face is not very good. You get it right on the front of his face, but the side of his head on both sides really don't have any paint at all, and it looks kind of odd. Not going to be a huge issue with him sitting inside of the cockpit, but for a chase vehicle, I would love to see something that's just a little bit better in terms of the quality for, you know, some of the premium that you'd have to pay for this if you're getting it on the secondary market. So that is your figure. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the actual vehicle itself. So I do really like this T70X Wing. I've heard a lot of comments here about the width of the wings, that they're just not big enough relative to what you would tend to see in the movie. For me, it doesn't really make that big of a difference to me, but this is what it looks like from the top. Some pretty cool deco. I do like the white. I really like the blue. I do like that on a lot of the paint, they have these little, you know, scrape marks or whatever, like it's actually been through battle. And then on the underside here, you get your landing gear. So the nice thing about that front landing gear is it does click in, as well as you can hear that snap as the landing gear kicks forward there on the bottom. It's got your little ejector port here for the astromech. Again, it doesn't really work with BB-8, but it will in future models if we end up getting some type of a standard astromech that would go into it. And then you do get the S-foils that open. So it does look really nice in this open position. This is probably, you know, I mean, I would say like my favorite, for sure, my favorite position of this specific vehicle. The wings look kind of weird. I've always thought that with this T70, that it's kind of odd that you have this big wing and this little tiny, like super thin wing on the bottom. But, you know, it is what it is. It looks really cool in this open position like this. You do get a little engine burn here, or engine glow, I should say, on the back. This portion back here is also painted silver, which is nice. That adds an extra little feature to it. The other thing about this is when you go to close it, you can actually see on here, right under there, there is like a little piece that sticks out. That piece that's sticking out there will hold the S-foils in position so they don't fall. So when you go to close it, you really have to click it hard in order for it to actually go back into place. The one thing that is nice about it, though, is when you close it all the way down, the main hull of the ship stays in its normal position instead of being cocked sideways like we would get with the standard X-Wing. The cockpit does open here as well. There is some great detail there on the inside of the cockpit. You do get like the little piece there in the middle that helps to hold the legs in place, so that way that at least he will sit in there nice and snug. One thing about this specific one that I got as well, you can see from this angle that this one laser cannon is just slightly off. It looks like it's angled down. When I got this in the package, it was actually loose in the package, and this piece was bent down kind of like this. So I did use just a hair dryer and just heated it up, kind of like a very low amount of heat for a little while to kind of get it pliable, and I was able to bend this thing into this position. So at least it looks a little bit better. It's not perfect yet, but it's better than what it was, for sure. Again, one of those things that for a piece that's only 5,000, made of 5,000 of these, I would expect to have, you know, a perfect vehicle when I take it out of the box. So now if I want to take this and do a couple quick measurements for this, from front to back, so from the top of the engine to the front of it, it's about 5 3/4 inches. From side to side, it is 4.5 inches. And with the S-foils up in this position, it is about 1 3/4 inches tall. Now, if we look at this one compared first to just the T70X Wing, and then I'll go ahead and do a comparison of it to the old Action Fleet. Here is what it looks like. We'll go ahead and close the wings up on this one. And so here is what it looks like relative to the black version. So the sculpt is the exact same. There is no difference. The paint scheme is actually the exact same as well. It's just a different color. So the main vehicle is white versus this is just a black plastic, and then all of the other details are painted on. So that is nice to be able to see that difference. Here is what it looks like on the underside. I do think this was cool that with the chase version here, the white one on the left, that you do actually get that gray ejector piece there on the bottom. Now, let me go ahead and show you what this looks like with BB-8 in it. So you can see down inside there that it has the two little leg pieces. As I'm pushing that button, you can see those popping up and down. There is a bar that goes across the middle of it. You can see that down there as well. And then you have the peg hole. So with the bottom of the BB-8, you can see that the peg hole that's down there, this kind of peg piece that's sticking up, is way too long. It would never go far enough into BB-8 for him to sit all the way down in there. Not only that, but when you try to put him down in there, that bar that's across the middle will also prevent him from going all the way down. So when you do put him in, that is all the way down as far as I can get him down inside. And you can see he's sticking up quite a bit. Now, with the this version here, I actually did a modification to it. You can now see that BB-8 is sitting all the way down in there. I didn't change anything about BB-8 himself. So the bottom here, actually I take that back. I did cut the notch straight through. So I clipped off the one little part. So that way he would sit down a little bit further. And then you can kind of see down in there, it's pretty rough, but I clipped out some of that peg that's in there, as well as the other little bar that goes across the middle. So that way, as we put BB-8 in there and I push him down in, he actually sits all the way down inside of it, the way that I would imagine him to do it. Now, here is a comparison of the Poe figure. So I did not do that earlier, which I do want to show that. So here is Poe in his flight suit, which actually is a really nice figure. I really like that. And then here is Poe not in his flight suit. I think the flight suit version definitely wins for me. I think it looks really cool in that. I love the helmet, the detail on it, all looks really nice. So that is that. Now, if we wanted to look at this, we'll look at this compared to a couple different vehicles, just as a comparison. I have had some people ask for this. So let me grab a couple other vehicles here, and then we'll do a comparison relative to that. Okay, so we already did the comparison here of the Chase Poe versus the standard Poe, T70X Wing, to see what that looks like. Now I want to go ahead and do a comparison first to the regular X-Wing. And so here is what it looks like next to the standard Series 1. This is the Chase version of the X-Wing. So you can see from a size perspective, the T70 is definitely bigger. It's bigger by probably a ½ an inch or so. The laser cannons are a little bit longer. The wings are about the same width, but definitely the entire hull portion of that is longer with the T70 versus the standard version. Now, if we look at this compared to the Action Fleet X-Wing, so here is the Action Fleet X-Wing, and you can see the Action Fleet X-Wing is bigger than that. So looking at the Action Fleet X-Wing compared to just the standard Series 1 version, it's significantly bigger. And so that is what it looks like. The other thing that's important to note in the Action Fleet X-Wing, they didn't do a great job here of getting the wings to expand. So that's as wide as the wings will expand on the Action Fleet X-Wing, versus obviously with the T70 and then also with the Series 1 version, the wings expand significantly more. And then now looking at this compared to the First Order TIE Fighter. So, you know, these are obviously vehicles that would fight against one another. And you can see what these look like. So I would say I think this scale of the TIE Fighter to the X-Wing looks decent. You know, certainly if you wanted to get all of the scaling information, you could check out my friend Jonathan's website, Rebel Scale, and be able to see what the actual scale is for all of them. But I would say the cockpit on this one looks pretty good relative to the cockpit size that we're getting on the X-Wing. And that is what they look like side to side. So that is your review for the T70 X-Wing, the Chase version here of Poe's X-Wing. If you liked the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Also, feel free to check out all of the Amazon affiliate links that are in the description below, as well as a link to the group that I run with some friends from all over the world that really love Micro Galaxy Squadron toys and other micro stuff. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing everybody on the next review.